Well, Governor Scott Walker is rolling out changes to how teachers and schools are evaluated.
But so far, he's been working on the bills without the help of the state superintendent. Political reporter Jess Arp joins us now to explain. Jess.
Well, the governor has a package of reforms he said is based on his work with Superintendent Tony Evers. The only problem is Evers says he hasn't been consulted on the final product. Governor Scott Walker, bringing a package of reforms to a state school boards conference, says he wants to do everything from require reading screening for kindergartners, create new accountability measures for teachers, to giving school districts a rating on how well they're doing.
We've worked with the superintendent of public instruction, with Dr. Evers and his team. They're going to push forward with changing the licensure requirements in the future, so that you have a more rigorous focus on reading.
The plans, the governor says, are the result of task forces convened together with State Superintendent Tony Evers in July in an effort they called a collaboration.
Policy and legislation are two different things. I'm a little bit in the dark on the legislative piece.
Evers says while he was a part of many meetings, he wasn't consulted on drafting legislation.
Where it gets a little hazy for me as state superintendent is it's one thing to have great policy and agreement around that, but how it translates into legislation, which is what will impact our schools and how it's implemented, it's a whole different thing.
The State Teachers Union declined to be a part of one of the task forces, instead holding education forums on their own.
Feeding that information back to the task force was the way we thought we could best be helpful to the work that they were doing, because we valued what the mission was. Unfortunately, the delivery seems to reflect a good deal of what we suspected might happen.
Evers says the changes the governor has rolled out in general reflect what has been worked on, but he wants to make sure it is carried through in the details.
We just need to make sure that what we've agreed to is being translated accurately into legislation.
The school accountability design team has finished their work. A spokesman for the governor says while a final report is not due from the team for a couple weeks, they felt confident moving forward with legislation they feel that achieves the goals set forth by that team.
And you got a hold of one of those team members?
We did. We talked to a Kettle Moraine teacher that was part of this design team. He called Walker's information today generic and said he'd like to see more details of how specific things like that school rating system will be implemented so it is meaningful for both parents and teachers. So we'll have to wait to see what these bills actually look like.
All right, Jess, thanks.